Yeah, this is the story of my life, and
We definitely chose interesting ones this lifetime.
What was I thinking?
And you get to these places and you think, oh, I'm killing, I'm ready to go. Like, beat me up, Scotty. Like, and you're doing so well, and then it humbles you. Because, like, oh, you're still there. What's wrong with you?
Yeah,
It's like, oh, you're not feeling any better, or haven't you got over it yet? Or
Right.
you've got to re-choose yourself every moment you don't want to.
Yes.
And there's a power in that, because every time you do, something shifts inside your DNA. There's this really deep resonance of like, I'm choosing me.
My guides said, get off social media, protect your energy, and work out who you are without any outside influences. So a lot of the times I get great perspectives of beautiful people that inspire me.
I look in the mirror and go, who the hell's that woman? Like, I'll walk past something, and I think I haven't really got there yet, but I have noticed changes that I've like, oh, I've not had this experience in this body before. And this is weird to see that. And am I going to judge myself for getting old, or am I going to embrace?
A lot of times when you trigger something within, you have to go through that whole process, and it's just like, okay, I'm done with this now. And for me, sometimes like because I'm so sensitive with the other things going on, it throws me out of whack for days, my nervous system. And it brings up a lot of things. It's like, I just don't want to do this work anymore. Imagine suffering, right? And then you go deeper into falling into the ocean, like you're drowning, right? And you're suffering. And so you can either choose, because you know how to swim, right? I know how to swim. But at that moment of suffering, I'm choosing to just drown.
So welcome to episode 7 of Spill the SpiritualiTEA. I'm lucky enough to have the most beautiful Bec McMillan here today with me. And let me share a little bit about Bec first, and then we'll deep dive into our conversation, our 777 conversation I think we're going to have today. Wearing the glasses because I can't read otherwise. So let's start. If you love an underdog story, then you will love Bec McMillan. Bec McMillan is known to be an absolute inspiration and powerhouse of women around the globe, turning severe trauma into absolute triumphs. And all started at the age of 37. That's really cool. 8 times cover girl, well-renowned crystal jewelry designer, making the Golden Globes, Mercedes-Benz runways, and 15 countries. High-end multidimensional mentor, hitting 10 countries. Red carpet host, former TV and radio speaker, co-author, celebrity MC, and a mother of 2 awesome little boys. Big boy and little boy.
Big boy and little boy.
So join us as we go deep on how to alchemize and rise with Bec's story, strength, courage, and determination, which continues to unfold in the duality of life. And isn't that the freaking truth?
That is the truth.
That is, I think, like the duality of life that we live, not only as single mums, but as entrepreneurs and business mentors and coaches, and then also navigating our own multidimensional selves.
Multidimensional beep.
Yes. And I think it's that. And we've always talked about this because we've had similar health journeys. We've had similar journeys on many ways that have affected us, is in how we perform, in a sense, in how we show up, because we've had to learn through our physical bodies. And that's been a huge impact on me as well. And I know that you've been navigating this, and being such a sensitive and, a successful person, it really does make you doubt yourself in so many ways when you've done so much, and then all of a sudden life spirals in another direction, and then it spirals out in another direction. And there's, like we were talking about before, you start to doubt everything you've done. And I know you've navigated some really deep trauma and have had some real challenges to overcome.
Yeah.
And you get to these places and you think, oh, I'm killing, I'm ready to go. And you're doing so well, and then it humbles you.
Yeah, this is the story of my life. And, when we come here, we do choose our script. I truly believe that. It's written in the stars. Been in soul school.
We definitely chose interesting ones this lifetime.
Oh, what was I thinking? And, you're right. And one would think I would know through the troubles comes triumphs, through the traumas come triumphs. And part of me says, okay, I've had enough now. I've had enough now. I think I'm smart enough.
I was going to say, what you want and what you need for this path and what you've chosen, 2 different things.
Yeah. The hero's journey for sure. And, it's been tough my whole life. It's been tough my whole life. And I have overcome things that you can't even begin to script right.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't even think that I'd be sitting here today. I should be dead 10 times over in a mental ward, sucking my thumb in the corner. I even read my story and I'm like, what?
Who am
Well, I actually did go through that. That's actually the truth. And, you know, since 2019, I have been navigating health problems to the point where, you know, I lost 3 companies. I lost a heap of money. I lost my so-called friends and sisters. You know, I got it all to lose it all. You know, I got the fame, I got the achievements, I got everything that my beautiful heart desired, and illness has really, really, really taken over, and it's hit me again, you know, and it's hit me again. And so now I'm on this 3-month mission to really unpack what I'm holding on to.
Good.
You know, really unpack. And you think, okay, I've done the work, I'm a teacher, I'm a mentor, you know, and you keep unpacking, and it's like, when has it gotten to a point where you stop unpacking?
Well, it's so deeply ingrained in your cells too. And what you're unpacking sometimes, like, you know, isn't your own. And like you said, coming into this life, you're unpacking so much deep stuff from so many lifetimes to really clear this physical form that you're in. And this is really clearing out on such a deep level.
Yeah.
And, you know, I totally resonate with your journey, because I feel like once I moved through one was, you know, I had the glandular fever, and then I got the chronic fatigue, and then I got breast implant illness, and and now I'm in perimenopause, and it's like, you know, it's like, holy shit, you know, and I'm the healthiest, most unhealthiest person in times.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, because I'm like, I do everything. And I had to let go of even that, of being so rigid on myself and really tuning in to exactly what my body needed. And that was a lot of listening, like we're talking about. When you're an overachiever and you're very independent, you have a very great way of pushing yourself to the extreme, and especially when there's a big mission.
And that's the thing. It's like, when you teach power of the mind, and when you teach mindset, when you teach energetics, and you've worked with that, where is that line where you say, okay, am I manifesting this illness? You know, if I work with the mindset and the manifestations, am I gaslighting myself of my truth? You know, my body is telling me different. And this is the piece that I've really unpacked, where I want to apologize to anyone that I may have unintentionally gaslighted through my teachings. You know, it's humbled me a lot to know that it's not always power of the mind to be able to heal. You know, there's other works that you need to do. And sometimes we gaslight ourselves to say, okay, just keep being positive and keep manifesting what you do want. But really you're ignoring the physical signs, thinking it's going to go away, but it's not.
It's not.
It never
There's
does.
Such a deep attunement to your physical form. And I think there was a time that you could not really have to be in the physical form to really use the gifts that you have. And now we're really being asked to bring that through the physical form.
Yeah.
And really channel that through the body. And that means, well, if I'm going to hold a higher vibration, I'm not just leaving my body or accessing it from above, and I'm drawing that energy through my body, well, that's going to clear out my system. That's like high energy moving through a dense body that has to now attune to being a more light being. And that's all in the cells. And, you know, obviously because I do breath work, that's connected me so deeply to my body. And plus I'm such an emotional person. So everything came to back. Why is this happening? How come I'm feeling like this? So there has been a real physical sense to my journey, you know. So I've had to really understand the depth of probably those really, like you're saying now, how did I couldn't just change it with my mind. And then I had people saying, just change it with your mind. I'm going, but I can't change it with my mind because everything's in my body and I can't leave my body because every time I do or I push past it, I get pulled up and it tells me to come back in, and I have to tune, I have to listen. I have to go, what is this making me feel? And where am I holding on to it? And where's the cord going back to, firstly, my inner child, or is it going back to a past life? And it really humbled me because every time I just thought that I could do something and it really made me doubt myself, like you were saying.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's where actually I've been torn since 2019 with that doubt, which has manifested into unworthy pieces. Like
but I think that's
a
really beautiful reflection that you said, like the highs are high and the lows are low. I think people think that this is consistent high energy.
No.
And especially when you're spiritual or you are on a path the way you are, that there's this happy way that you are all the time.
Oh, God,
and I'm like,
no.
that's just not even reality. You can, there's no one on this planet that can, unless you really have no challenges, is in you're sitting on a hill in the middle of nowhere, but they're still going to be uncomfortable in that. Do you know what I mean? If you're in the human body, we are here to navigate those challenges, and how do we do that?
Absolutely, and especially during these times, right? And that's another thing with successful people, a lot of this flashy stuff on social media, and I've been guilty of it, I've done it too, perceived to be something when stuff's going on behind the scenes. It's like, well, when there's people doing all these flashy things, you know, do I give myself permission to go, oh, hang on a minute, no, I feel like shit, or I'm this or I'm that. And that's the whole thing about, I believe, social media is the fakeness and the damage that it can really, and it is really causing so many people, including myself. It's like I come in and out of the trap of it.
Yeah, of course.
And it's like, Bec, you should know this by now. You teach it, and it's like this thing that sucks you in. And that's what we need to break free with the new world, is to not get caught into that story or into that reality, because it's all planned, it's all implanted to lure us into that loose energy, to lure us in.
And we're focusing there, and we're putting that in the mind, we're in the ego, it's like, and we're putting on a facade. Then we're not really being authentic and sitting in what we're feeling at the moment, or showing up the way that we need to, because there is that energy of like, oh, but you look so amazing all the time, but you're like, was amazing in that moment, and now I'm in bed on the floor.
Thank you. And only you would understand that. People say, well, how can you be so sick? You look so good. I said, I feel like I'm 217. And I say to you, how do you look so good, Mel, when you've been through so much? And we're just a freak of nature. Like, I don't understand how you can look so good on the outside, but inside you just feel so terrible.
But the thing is, you're not just letting what's moving through you be. Like, you're doing all of the things to support your body physically, emotionally, and especially with what you ingest. You know what I mean? What you're putting in your physical body does have a resonance on how you're going to heal. And you can feel shitty, but then if you're adding more shit into it, like eating badly, you're proactive in your healing. So many people get to this place and stop being proactive in their healing and just go into a place, it's like it's too hard. And I get the too hard, because when you've got a little bit of energy to do something, it takes a lot to keep choosing yourself in that moment when you don't have the energy to get out of bed. And one thing that you were talking to me about is like showing up for everyone else. And as you know, there's an innate healer in you that wants to be there for others. But when you are really literally laying in bed, I remember most of my friends not really knowing. I would literally sleep for 12 hours, wake up, and then go and sleep for another 24 hours at one stage. And I had to plan everything that I was doing. And at the time, I was doing sales. I don't even know what I was doing. I was running the modelling agency, and I was doing sales. And I would literally have to drive to Brisbane, sleep in my car, and then drive home. And all these weird things that I would have to do to navigate day to day.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Again.
And that's why I'm saying it, because there's such a huge task that it takes to show up, and you don't get to rest when you're a single mum.
No,
you still have a son to care for, you still have got to look after all of the things, and everything falls back onto you. So it's a very interesting thing to find that rest and connection to your body, but then also have to do things when you feel like there's nothing.
Sometimes it feels near impossible, to be honest. And I'm a woman of, I believe a brilliant mind, and I have all the tools, and even for me. So I can't imagine beautiful women out there that are juggling that haven't had, I guess, that maybe the education or the spiritual aspects that I am lucky enough to have. So I totally get it's that tower moment of, you know what, am I going to go down this way? And for me, in my whole life of trauma, it's like, I ain't going down like this. I get very diva-ish on it, and I do the whole hair flip.
Don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? It's that choice point where it's like, oh, do I just accept this as my fate and just let myself go, and then trust that someone will come and look after my son, and I'll, and then it's something, this fire burns inside me each and every time, and I get the shits, and I flick my hair and I say, I ain't going down like this.
What's my next step?
Yeah. That's what gets me up each and every time. And that's why I, haven't taken my life a few times. And that's why I haven't done this. And it's like that anger a woman gets and that power that she can channel at that choice point of the sliding doors.
And it's a moment to moment choice. It's not I'm going to make the choice and it stays there.
You got to re-choose.
You've got to re-choose yourself every moment you don't want to.
Yes.
And there's a power in that, because every time you do, something shifts inside your DNA. There's this really deep resonance of like, I'm choosing me. For even all the women that couldn't choose themselves before me.
There you go,
That's
Mel.
what it feels like
Goosebumps.
to me, that it's like a real, like, in this choosing, as we break all of these cycles, and I think women's physical bodies have endured so much trauma, and like you were talking about for, rape, domestic violence, like at the hands of things that we haven't had control over for a very long time.
And not even this lifetime, when we understand the energetics and the DNA structure and we're carrying our ancestors' traumas, whether it be you may have been a male in the past, you may have been this in the past, and when you go into the depths of what we're actually born into and what we carry within us, most of the stuff isn't even our stuff. Most 100%. Of the stuff that we're experiencing clearing and everything is in our DNA structures. Yep. So, and especially with the Great Awakening and during these times, this is where we're clearing, if you're the black sheep, or if you're going through things, and if you know that there's something higher out there, and you are the chosen, to break all those ancestral
and it's hard.
Traumas and ties. And we're literally moving through the collective energy. So from a collective perspective, being a sensitive chosen one, or someone that's clearing everything, it's your ancestor stuff, your stuff, other people's stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's so much. So we must learn during these times, yes, to be strong, but also to be soft.
100%. I think that's where women are having to really find another connection, not this masculine way that we've had to drive in society to fit in and do it all and be superwoman, because that is what is breaking our bodies down. We have to connect back. And look, femininity to me and feminine power and what moves through me is so fierce. Like you said, when you get that anger or when you get that feeling coming through you,
she's fierce.
You'll roll your shoulders back. And to me, that is, and I think sometimes we get this idea that we have to float through a field with a white dress on and we're all dead, and that's so not me. When I think about my feminine side, she's fierce. She's walked through death. She is like, she's walked through death and rebirthed herself so many times. And when people say, oh, you got to drop in, there's a softness in it because I'm so attuned to my body, and I've had to be, because I can't walk any other path or it pulls me up like your experience and I experience all the time. So it's like, I have to listen before I move now.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, that's another distortion of what is true feminine energy. And true feminine energy is actually dark.
Yeah.
And actually fierce. But there are many shades to feminine energy. Yes, she's soft. Yes, she's this. But if you want to go to the source point of what the feminine energy is, she's dark, always trying to get herself back to light. Source, God, creator, light. Right? Dark, womb, feminine.
Yep.
So she's dark, always trying to get back to the light because she knows that's where the light is. But she has to balance her darkness first. Yeah. And Source Point created the feminine energy because she is the power, right? She is more powerful than man, and what women deny themselves of is their power, is their darkness, is their fierceness.
We've been programmed to do that. Right. And that's what we were talking about, is that programming that has shut that connection to that innate power that we have inside. And sometimes we have to be knocked down to keep choosing ourselves to go, this is freaking fierce. It's really uncomfortable. But when I own it, like you said, I can make my next move. It might only be one move. Only one move for the day.
You might only get that half a move in, but it's a move. Yeah, no, I hear you. Like me coming here, I'm like, I'm planning it all out. And
I remember that so clearly. Yeah. Having to plan everything because I didn't know how I was going to be. And it's very hard for people to understand when you can't show up the way you used to show up for people. And where I was going with before about that over giving as a healer and someone that wants to support, I remember laying in my bed and my ex-husband said to me, get off the phone and stop helping people. You haven't even got out of bed and you've slept for 24 hours and you're on the phone supporting someone through their breakup and there was this feeling that it was making it about someone else. But there was part of me that needed to do it as well because there's part of me I couldn't do anything else
Gave
either.
you purpose. And that's so beautiful because I do that often as well. Like I'm in my own mark, but it ignites me, something with me to be able to help someone else because then you have your purpose and then you don't feel helpless and it actually helps you sometimes.
Sometimes it moves you out of your moment in time.
Back into your power.
Yes, back into your power.
Yeah.
But then I think there's this gathering of that of going, where is my limits now? Now that, and that's something I've had to learn, and even because even after breast implant, I couldn't exercise for a year. I put on weight for the first time. I got cellulite for the first time.
Oh, let's not talk about that.
And all these things that my body was, I'm like, whose body is this?
Yes, that's where that's same.
I'm like, what is going on with this body? And so coming into, then I got myself back into a really sort of good place with my body and it was starting to exercise, felt great. Then perimenopause came along and I'm like, who is this? Whose body is this again?
We're twinning. I swear we're twinning, and I'm in the same. I'm in the same thing. So when I got sick, the cellulite come, the weight come.
Yeah, it's like everything holds.
And it's like, who is this? I was a model, and you were a model, and it's like, oh wow, that's getting taken away from me.
Really humbling.
And it's humbling. It's hurtful. It sucks.
It sucks, but it also too. I went through a life of like. I was very lucky gene-wise. I had never had cellulite, never put on weight, could eat whatever I wanted. So I'd never experienced it either, putting on weight. I didn't even know what it was.
I'm the opposite to you. So I struggled with weight my whole life. I was the fat kid at school. I was overweight. I had acne. And my story was turning into the beautiful swan from the ugly duckling, And so when
I still had buck teeth and had to have braces and all those things. So
I had braces for 3 years too. So I totally get it. But it is humbling to know that you can still choose yourself even though you don't feel beautiful anymore.
But it's a different beauty that I'm connecting to now.
That's what I'm getting at. You still feel beautiful in a different way now instead of relying on that or, it's like, okay, hang on a minute, let's go deeper. Am I beautiful here? Am I beautiful here? And it's, it's hurtful. It hurts because you have to strip away all the things that you relied on. And for me personally, coming from the ugly duckling to the beautiful, I relied on now being the beautiful swan because it was, my career and my dreams and everything. And when it was taken away, it was like, oh, what am I now?
Yeah. How are people going to perceive me from being here to there? And then all that other stuff comes up. It's like, I'm not perfect anymore. I'm not going to be loved because I don't have this. And and obviously, so we live on the Gold Coast too. So everything's like about this perfection of image.
Right. And in the fashion world.
Let's go to the gym. Let's go to the gym. I'm like, I can't go to the gym.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I cannot do what people say, just get to the gym and do this and let's have 10 abs. And I'm like, my body naturally had it. It's not bad, but it's like I just don't have the capacity to push my body that way. And I have to have deep love and acceptance for that.
Yeah.
There's a reason for it.
Yeah.
And the reason why you're going through this as well.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? And it'll all unfold perfectly. It always does. For me right now, I've decided to take 3 months off social media, which I've never done in 9 years.
Huge for you.
My guides said, get off social media, protect your energy and work out who you are without any outside influences. So a lot of the times I get great perspectives of beautiful people that inspire me, and like you, for instance, you'll come up with a golden nugget. I'm like, yes, I needed that. But from the perspective of not having any outside influences other than your own channel, I haven't done that in 9 years.
Yeah,
so
huge.
This is a big piece for me, having the time off social media. I feel that I'll rebirth on the other side onto my true highest destiny through this piece. So big healing journey ahead. Had some things come up recently. So I was just about to launch some mentorship containers and all sorts of wonderful things. And now I'm humbly on my bum again.
Yeah. And I think that's it, like knowing that this has sort of happened to me in my business when I'm about to launch something. There's something I'm like, and it just doesn't happen. Like, health comes in and you're like, if I didn't have this health thing, but then I've also catapulted into a whole new me again because that health has made me go quiet. That health or whatever I'm experiencing has made me go so deeply within myself. I've emerged out the other side completely different. And the container I would have had to the container, that I'm creating is two different things. So it wasn't meant to evolve at that time.
No.
And as much as it's disappointing and it's really hard, because also too, we have to make money in this world, and there's an energetic exchange to everything you do.
Yes.
So that's really challenging. And I think that's where I'm changing my business. And I talked to Krista about it too, like having a sustainable business, that I think we have to learn how to do that now, because as women, especially as single mothers, it's not set up for us not to be sick. We need to be on all of the time.
Yes.
And I even look at my life, it's like I've got 2 dogs, I've got 2 kids, I'm running a business, like I'm on all the time. And then, people come in to have, I don't know if I've even got the capacity to relate in relationship at the moment, especially with now perimenopause coming in. It's like, I just really want to be with me, and if someone's coming in, they're gonna have to be damn fine, because it's like I don't have the capacity to facilitate or hold, or I just need to be able to fall sometimes. That's the only place that I need, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just have someone that can just move in and just take control sometimes.
I'm in the same. Honestly, everything you just said, I second that, and I'm in exactly the same space. I've been single 11 years, since my husband left me pregnant and suicidal. I've had a couple of little things over the years, like 4-week things, 6-week things, but single 11 years, and it was only a couple, And for me personally, I was healing. I had things blocking me, but now it's like, all right, I will only invite in someone that's willing to hold all of this and not feel like a hassle, someone that has that natural protective nature and wants to help and to provide and protect and support, so I'm in the same thing. And then if not, I would rather support myself. You got to be really, I guess, diligent on what you have around you when you're so sensitive as well.
100%. And I think you're probably like me, people perceive you a certain way, and they're like, I can be, especially having men DM or come into my, and there's a kind of like they know you, and I can be this for you. I'm like, but I'll unravel you, and that's not in an egoic way. It's like everyone that comes into it, if my love will unravel whatever isn't love in you.
Yeah.
And it's really confronting. And then I end up going into facilitator mode.
Yeah.
So it's someone that has to come with a level of awareness with the work that they've done, not embodied work, that they can meet that.
Yeah, I'm in the same, and that's happened to me too.
Every person, for me, there's been some level of unraveling, especially when it comes back to their mother and their mother wound.
Mother wounds, yes. Twins, I swear we're twins, like very similar.
And it disappoints me, because then now I'm making the choice not to do that anymore consciously.
Yeah, me too.
Because, and it doesn't, and there's things that I've noticed in me. I'm like, okay, well, there's a little bit of that there. And I lovingly bring whatever, that back into alignment through that interaction. And it's never a one-sided thing. But for me now, it's like I've got 2 boys I'm mothering. And as much as it's nice to have people say, oh, I want to have a conscious relationship, that's lovely. But I also don't want to facilitate.
No, and that's the thing. And a lot of times when you trigger something within, you have to go through that whole process, and it's just like, okay, I'm done with this now. And for me, sometimes like because I'm so sensitive with the other things going on, it throws me out of whack for days, my nervous system, and it brings up a lot of things. It's like, I just don't want to do this work anymore. I'm done with that. And that's another thing, there's a lot of people that say, when are you going to get off the healing train? Right? When are you going to just stop healing and just evolve?
I don't think it's healing. I think it's the way of being. To me, this is who I am. I show up this way. Everything I say, speak, and do is part of my being.
Yeah. Yeah, what I was getting into, though, there's a lot of people that say there comes a point where you have to get off the healing train and then talk and then just evolve. And to me, healing brings you into evolution, right? So what I'm trying to bring up is be careful of how people guide you, because I've been caught in this trap, and I'm a strong woman. Healing does help you evolve.
100%.
Right? So it's not like you're not in the victim mentality because you're healing still. There's always another piece, and we're living proof of that. You know, we're in premenopause and we're still doing the things. So.
And moving into that different wisdom, because obviously as you move into this wisdom, there's a lot of little girl stuff and younger woman stuff and mother stuff that we have to let go in to be this crone, and this moving into the wisdom years. And so there's a lot of clearing out of that to step into this elder role. And that's a weird place when you're like, oh, old, elder, you know, and there's such a stigmatism about being old. I'm actually, like, I'm fine. 52 is great for me. Like, I'm all over it. But it's like, I don't have an issue with my age. But it's like sometimes you're like, oh, where do I fit in now? Because, you know, and I had this even conversation with Harmony at the start. It's like you feel like you're getting put out to pasture because there's a different, you just don't know where you fit in. Because you're not old, but you're not young. But there's so much wisdom and knowledge. But then there's, it's a very interesting stage of finding this grounded space that you embody the next part. Yeah. Especially when you're going like, you know, your brain's telling your body to do something, your body's not doing it. And it's like, so you've got this internal chaos going on that you're like, okay, so I've got this internal chaos. It's triggering my nervous system. I'm feeling like not myself anyway. And, you know, some days I'm more reactive. Some days I'm more tired. Some days I feel like a fat old, you know, wobbly. And then other days I feel great. You know, it's like you don't know what you're going to get every day.
That's the cycle in the moon and the cycle of being a woman. But I love that you just brought up that elder piece because that was coming through for me the past 3 days, right? Moving into the elder piece. And it's such a weird space to be in as a woman. But then when I've just listened to you, I thought, okay, what about going from teenage to adulthood? And so it's just the next piece for that. But then you look at us and we're like, well, we don't look that old. Sometimes your mind doesn't feel that old.
No.
But then your body's going, hang on, you are getting old. And it's like, what am I? And, you know, when we're 70, are we're gonna still feel like 30? You know, it's like.
And I think that's it. And I remember even, you know, talking to my sister, she says, I look in the mirror and go, who the hell's that woman? Like, or walk past something, you know, and I think I haven't really got there yet, but I have noticed changes that I've like, I've not had this experience in this body before. And this is weird to see that. And am I going to judge myself for getting old or am I going to embrace it and know that I had all that time? I think what it is within me, and if I could tell my younger self, love that body because it's fucking beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't because I was finding every imperfection that it wasn't perfect, and it was. And then you have these things that you don't have anymore and you're like, well, why didn't I love that? Why didn't I just didn't have the connection to myself through my childhood to love myself that way. My mum needed everything perfect. Everything emotional was under the rug. Well, I was everything emotional. And that didn't, emotional's messy, you know, and now to have such a deep understanding of myself emotionally, to look back at that girl and feel like she missed out on so much because she was worrying about so much dumb shit. Which
I hear you.
It was all there telling me I wasn't enough. I mean, it's everywhere for a woman.
Everywhere, all the time, and still is. It's just a matter of going, hang on, is that the truth? Yeah, I still face it every day. I've got to, you know, battle off with that devil on my shoulder every day and tell it to shut up.
You do. You know? And I think it is a conscious choice, like you said, to battle off with it and go, am I going to choose to listen to that part of myself that wants me to look a certain way, but that's not who I am anymore? Can I have deep acceptance for this version of me?
Yes, that, Mel, hallelujah. And I think that's such an important message for any beautiful woman out there, you know, that is going through this, you know, whether you're a younger woman, your 20s, 30s, 40s, 70s, doesn't matter. That piece right there, magic.
Yeah. It's such a weird space as a woman, and I think, you know, coming into the power that we've got, that's what we've got to remember. It's like a feeling that comes through your body, and I think the more I embrace that, then it kind of moves me out of all of the little minded beliefs, things, everything that I've taken on. And, you know, I've done a lot of work on that. So there's a deep acceptance. But the love is growing more and more. And I think that's also what's challenging now in relating is like, I really love myself. So for someone to come in and they're going to have to love me I don't need anyone.
They need to love me more. They need to love me more. Or there's the door. That's where I'm at as well, girl. So, and some of us women, I believe right now are meant to not be in union. I was
thinking, I actually was
I got the message from Spirit,
that.
You're not actually meant to be in union. Have you ever thought of that? I'm like, wow, because it makes sense. Some people are chosen to be their own divine channel without any other energies there, so therefore they can support through mission, and
I've had that too, and I'm like, really? And I put so much into relationships, and I think for me, because I've learned so much through relating, but then I've got to a point of like, it doesn't serve me. I'm not learning. I don't want to learn that way. I don't want to learn through suffering in a relationship. I want to learn through love in a relationship. Yes. And I haven't had that. Yeah. It's been challenging. It's been that trauma bonding.
Same.
And it's like, and I feel like I've passed that. So every time it comes towards me, I'm like, that's not where I want to move.
You keep choosing to say no then when they come in, and no means yes. No means yes to you, and no means yes to them, because if you say yes to them, it's not your highest destiny. So by saying no, you're loving them as well and respecting their path. So, never being afraid to say no to something is actually yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
No is love, because if you say yes instead of no, you're not loving yourself and you're not loving them, because people deserve the truth.
And you're abandoning yourself to try something that you already know, which I've done, because you want love and you want to be in a relationship, or it's like, it's not necessarily a choice that I don't want to have that. I love being in a relationship. But I loved it more than myself before.
Yeah. And sometimes we want to go into, but they have such beautiful potential and they're a beautiful soul and this and that and that. But by saying yes to them when really your body says no, that it's stopping them from evolving, because it's not truly authentic. It's not true truth.
And deeply there's a resentment, and deeply it's going to wind up the same way. And I've learned that lesson going,
me too.
I already knew this was going to go there. Why did you go against yourself?
Me too. And your environment is everything. I've carried on like a complete pork chop and psychopath sometimes. Yeah. That, I've just been broken down that much to get to a point where I've got nothing left. So I just go rah, because I don't know what else to do. And part of me is that scared little girl. Part of me is that ferocious woman going, how dare you? And then the other part's just going, I just don't even know what to do. So I'm just going to lose it, because trying to, navigate this in a soft way, soft feminine way, as women are supposed to speak, it's not working. I'm not being heard, and it's just like, well, just hear me roar then, because I don't even know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
And so it is super important to just choose you when nothing's feeling right, nothing's feeling right.
That's a real achievement, because I think we have been taught to put everybody else first as women.
Yeah.
And then especially when you also haven't been met as a child, then you will always be searching for that outside of yourself until you can give it to yourself.
Yeah.
And, like you moving through these health stuff, and me, and now we're doing perimenopause and you're doing all of your health stuff. It's such a vulnerable place to be. And when you're that vulnerable and you're by yourself, there's a real challenge to love yourself alone. And not be alone. You know what I mean? And I love my time. Like, I'm such a hermit.
Me too.
I'm like, I really don't, like, people go, so what do you do? I'm like, I don't do anything anymore. I don't need to. I just float around at home. I'll do my enema and I'll do this. And
oh my God, we're twins. Yeah,
and
me
I
too.
just don't need to be around people a lot.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't need to. I've lost. When I was younger, I'd get FOMO, but I work with people. I've worked with people all my life, so I don't feel like I'm missing out. When I was younger, I felt like I had to be everywhere.
Same.
And now I could not give a shit.
Same. And everything that you're saying is same. For me, I've been in the spotlight for so long, and now an event, it takes me a week to recover from hosting an event. Yeah. Although I love it still, like there's that. I'm so good at it, and I love it, and I do all the things. It's like it takes me a week to recover. And so where is that line of something that you love, but that it's probably just draining the hell out of you, and it may not come across that I'm a hermit like you, because you're so in the front line with so many things, but behind the scenes, like, just put me back into my little bubble and let me prepare that food and those cleansers and do all the things. And just look at my view and.
But that nurtures me.
Yeah.
Like there's such a peace to that. And I think I've got to that stage that I'm at peace in a lot of ways. And I like to have all the nourishing things. I like to have I like to just float around sometimes because as a mum too, there's always someone else to be looking after. So I like to kind of float around when I don't have to have structure. So to have the expectation of someone else to come into, it's like, I can't have someone that's constantly structured because I'm a real, I just need space.
Yes. Yeah. And no guilt attached to that. Someone to just understand
if I need to sleep in, I need to sleep in.
Yeah.
If I want to get up early, I want to get up early. If I don't want to have someone, well, you're not, spiritual enough. You're not getting at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're not doing your ice baths, and you're doing a little bit. Like I do all the things, but I just do it when it feels in alignment with me.
Yeah, even if you don't do it, that's up to you. Like
100%. Whatever works for your body.
That's it. There's so much pressure on at the moment of how you're supposed to do everything, and that's the thing. It's about connecting into what do you need and what do you want. And there's a fine line between, am I bypassing? Am I just being lazy here? Or do I actually really just need to rest or say no to this? And probably that's the best bit of advice that I could give right now is tuning into, am I saying no to this because I'm being lazy, not holding myself accountable or avoiding something within? Or is it just a no in my body because it's a no? And a lot of women, including myself, really struggle with that piece of, is it a no because it's a no or is it a no because it's a no, right?
We don't know our no's.
Right.
I know that sounds really weird, but
no, I get it.
It's like knowing what a fuck yes means and a fuck no. Like, what is that in my body? You have to know it in your body. You
have to know it in your body, but also check the triggers. So how I've worked out what my no is this my avoidance? Is this am I being lazy here? Am I being unaccountable? No, actually, it's just a no. But I go through that little question in the moment, check myself first, holding myself accountable to my human stuff. Yeah. Right? And then go, no, it's actually a no. Or hang on, Bec, no, you really should just look into that a little bit. So that's probably the best advice I can give.
And beautiful advice because it's such a soft advice to tune in.
Tune in and check yourself.
Especially through perimenopause time. There is a constant tuning in.
It's a constant tuning in, and it's just navigating this realm in general, From someone, I'm very connected and very, very connected. And a lot of the times I feel like I use that as a excuse sometimes to my humanness. So that's my process that I've learned to navigate this 3D realm as well as flying high. Am I saying no because of that? Because I still got to exist here, if I was up there.
And like we were talking about, that's been the opposite for me. I've had to move through my physical stuff because I couldn't avoid it because everything came up as a manifestation.
This is where I'm
feeling and what was going on with me. So I really had to clear so much in my physical form. Even though I was always guided and I could see, but a very different way than you. But that's opened up my multidimensional side, my galactic side, the past, my Akashic, all that stuff is opened from doing the really deep work on how I can stay grounded in this sensitive form.
Yes.
With all the information that I was getting in as a young child. And I was always a little bit hyperactive and I was always, I could have back then probably was ADHD. Now it's like I'm completely opposite. But it's like, I think there's a grounding in that emotionality and sensitivity to really understand it, that when I felt safe, my body went, we can open.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Finding that safety. How do you find safety right now in this realm? It's a struggle. I'll be honest, it's a real struggle, especially going through what we're going through as a collective. And to me, again, finding safety is the no and the yes, and trusting the answers, trusting checking yourself and trusting the no or the yes. Like for me, I was just about to launch all these amazing things. And then I just went, no, get offline for 3 months, pull the pin and just trust.
Such a courageous thing to do when society's like, you can't stop.
Well, I bloody am. I bloody am, and I'm going to do it. So this is like a big, huge challenge and piece, but it's necessary. So I guess some advice there too is if you have had the calling to pull back, this is your moment now to listen to that. For the next piece of the Great Awakening, you're going to need your strength. 100%. You're going to need your sovereignty. You're going to need to know your own intuition, your own yeses, your own nos without any outside influences.
I totally
So
agree
if
with
you
that.
need to build that muscle and understand yourself better, get offline for a while,
Yeah.
pull the pin on things, trust.
Yeah.
And trust.
And listen to that voice, because that voice of intuition gets so much louder when everything gets more quiet. It gets uncomfortable. But when you sift through the uncomfortable, what opens, and, you know, it really does open, it opens up a stronger channel.
Absolutely, because
And
you're not having other energies come in.
Yeah, and I think when you can get really safe within your own self, that protection drops because you know you've got your own back. There's a very difference to knowing you've got your own back in those yeses and nos, because that builds trust, and that safety in the physical form then allows the nervous system to go, okay, I've got myself. Everything that I've been through, I'm now choosing myself in a different way. That I feel safe.
Because there's no outside anything, you know, and that's the whole point of the Great Awakening, is to connect back to source, connect back to self, right? And I believe you'll only do that in sovereignty, you know, in a true form of, having yourself no matter what, because what we'll probably be navigating very soon, you're going to need it. Yeah. You know, you're going to need that sacred self you might have 50 people around you that are amazing support, right? But you're going to need that sacred self for the next piece.
I think that really is, because if you're not doing this, it's not, even though we're walking side by side and doing it together, it's my energy and your energy. And as a collective, when enough of us tip over into this next era, that's how it works. It's not, as much as we're helping each other by giving each other permission, it's an internal job.
Absolutely.
It's not a you do it and then I'll piggyback off. It's you need to know you as an individual, you in this.
Yes.
Individual, you know, all aspects of you in this form.
Yes, and on the ascension journey, there are so many teachers that show up at the right time that do take you into self. So it's very important to have your mentors and coaches if you feel called to them. You know, I truly believe we're assigned to people this lifetime. I've been assigned to people that I'm going to co-create with or help or whatever else, and vice versa. So it is important to get information and help off other people to unlock self.
Yeah.
But when you're getting the calling for sovereign self, you need to listen.
Yeah.
You know, I have a feeling with the great divide that's going to come again, like in 2019, the sovereign self is the next piece of the evolution,
I totally
like the
agree.
hugest piece. So, yeah, that's probably my greatest advice I can give to any woman listening today.
Well, I think you're activating so much.
Yeah, it's really nailing that flick the hair moment, stuff this shit, I'm going to shine, or I ain't going down like this, you know, that pivotal moment.
The choice in the moment.
The choice
where you need
point.
To roll your shoulders back.
Right.
Dig
is
deep.
Get in there, girl.
It's like birthing.
Yeah, get in there.
Dig deep birth.
Don't be afraid of your anger. Don't hide that power. It doesn't mean you're not feminine. Don't listen to anyone else. You know, listen to yourself and use that power that you have within to get to the next piece.
100%.
Right? And trust in your sovereign self. You don't need anyone else but yourself, although it is lovely to have other people as well.
Of course, it's lovely to have that, because I think we're designed as humans to be in community. But then
Absolutely.
I think that's the confusing part about the human self. It's like we want to be in a collective. We want to feel accepted. We don't want to be on the outskirts. I just think I've got so used to being on the outskirts that it doesn't worry me anymore, because I used to get so upset about it. And then I felt so kind of like the black sheep everywhere. Even though I was involved in many things, people would never have known internally how alone I felt, or how not disconnected to everyone, because it felt like I was just like this weird, I felt, where do I fit in here?
Mel,
I don't fit in anywhere. And even when I was around great people and they didn't see me.
Oh, Mel, I hear you.
And it's only been very recently that I've had some, but then all of a sudden I'll move again. I'm like, oh, I'm here. Where's everyone gone?
Oh, God, we're twins. I swear, everything you say,
And
I
I'm
resonate
like,
with.
Yeah, and it's and I'm going through that where's everyone gone thing again. As I just had this massive shift and I moved into perimenopause, and there's a different listening and a different attunement, and everyone's gone.
Well, we're on a different frequency now, you know, and that's the thing.
And
you know,
I've just
people,
got that learning
come
of
in,
that.
you know, next scene in the movie, next scene in our Netflix show, right? And isn't it interesting that we've come back together since 2019? We kind of separated a little bit. And now I've learned all these great, wonderful things. And I was like, oh, hi, we're back in each other's field.
Yeah.
You know, we've come back to the movie scene together.
And
I
like that because I think that's the trust and that's what I let be okay now, whereas the little girl that didn't want to be alone or got abandoned and, you know, she's safe with me now, that the aloneness is gone and the trust that nothing will pass me by.
That's meant for you.
Yeah, that's meant for me. And just wait sometimes. I know you're not a patient person, Melissa, but sometimes there's a chess game going on that's bigger than you.
Always.
That you just have to let go and allow that trust to know that it'll all fall into, and it does.
Absolutely.
So me pushing over the top of it and getting myself worried and doing all of the, you know, probably toxic, masculine human things, but for me to pushing myself when I just need to be resting, like you said, have those stores as we're moving into the next step, or, you know, just let that. And I'm a manifesting generator, so I know now when I'm on and off. For me, it's like when I'm in line and I'm on, I can do more in a day than most people, but then other times I'm like, I get frustrated with that. There's a real sense of, so I'm learning to just allow that frustration to go, okay, I'm frustrated because I'm not feeling like I'm doing anything.
Well, you're doing a lot now in the astral realms.
Yes.
So when we go to sleep at night, you're actually doing a lot with your higher soul and your helpers in the astral realms. So where you just talked about, you got to trust that there's a chess piece going on in the background. There most certainly is. That camera never stops rolling. That chess game never stops playing for you. Okay, you're not stopping just because you're resting or just because it doesn't feel like anything's moving.
Isn't that a beautiful gift though? That we've been designed to think that when we're resting, like you said, we're lazy.
No.
But there's so much need for that now.
Oh, look, I'm going through it. I've only been offline for 10 days and there's that pull of, you know, should I just step back in there a little bit? And
we had you fix today.
Then my higher soul's like, stop it, girl. We've already given you orders.
Yeah.
You know, this is the movie scene you're in right now. You need to honor that, you know, and be committed to it. So, yeah.
And I honor you for that and for sharing, because it's something that I've navigated so many times. And I think it's such a gift, and you know, the next version of you that will emerge from this is going to be so much more grounded in all the multidimensional self aspect that you can bring through this body, because we have the strength to hold you. You know what I mean? And I think that's what it's like building a muscle as we open this physical form to hold more light. It's like to hold more of ourselves. It's a big job.
It's a huge job.
Energetically for a physical body.
It's such a huge job. And the one word that keeps resonating in this conversation is the elder piece, stepping into the elder piece. I believe when I come out the other side, I'll be in the elder piece. Oh, absolutely. You know, I've kind of been this like very big powerhouse woman, fashion, model, beauty, glamour, as well as my spiritual side as well. But I feel like she's gracefully going to be falling away a bit.
Yeah.
You know,
I love
and
that.
I'm excited for that piece. You know, what's it going to be for Bec McMillan being fully in her elder grace? You know, I feel like that's coming through, and that's going to be the most powerful piece of this journey is using all of that wisdom that I have accumulated that I haven't really had time to fully digest, because I've always been achieving or helping other people or unwell. 100%. You know, and so what's it like to be still, to actually get all those records come through, all those micro moments,
and really embody them,
right? And then be able to put those teachings into place, you know, and express myself
and
in that way.
And it'll come through a completely different way.
Oh yeah, well, let's see. So to be continued.
I know, 100%. We'll have to do this in another 6 months, year time, and then who will sit next to me?
I would love that. I love that. I wonder if we're going to end up doing stuff together as the good-looking elders.
But I you know, and I love that conversation, and I want to open that conversation more, because I want the younger version, and I wish I had that guidance to know what perimenopause is, to know what this is, to how to navigate this in my body, like I was saying to Harmony, or I think I even said it to Nick as well. I'm losing my cycle. I didn't even know what it was till recently, how to work with it. How do I work with my flows? And I would just was just an inconvenience. I just pushed through it, like planning shit at the wrong time, and now here am I going, right, I'm ready to sit in my flow, and I'm like,
and it's going,
and now it's going. It's like I don't even know what's going on because it's like 7 days late, but where am I going to sit?
Better late than never, right? And that's the thing, right? And that's probably what your voice is supposed to be. You know, you never took charge of that. You never actually tapped into that piece until it was gone.
No, there's so much power in that.
That's what they say. You know, they say you don't miss something when it's gone. You don't value something until it's too late, right? It's kind of that moment. So bringing awareness for women aren't taught to dive into that. Women aren't
especially
really.
our generation.
Yeah, right.
It was kind of like shameful. Like periods were shameful, bodies were shameful, sex was shameful. Like it's like we never talked about.
Yeah.
I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
I didn't figure it out in the most healthiest ways.
Yeah.
And there's part of me that's sad for that because there was so much wisdom. But I think I found it in my struggles, and I know that you have too, into the woman that you're transforming. So that probably was the path to move through the suffering and the struggles and these things.
Always is, Mel. Always
to
is.
recognize as we get to this, okay, well, I've done it the hard way. I've got great resilience.
Don't do what I did.
Don't do what I did. But not saying that my path was wrong.
No.
But what about this option that's a lot easier and it has a lot more grace, and you can really tune into you and stop looking.
And that's the thing with teachers, the student, like you are the student of life always, and normally you learn through the hard way. So then you can say, okay, I did that. Don't do what I did, because there is a way that you can go through this way. And that's what guidance is, right? Because you've gone first and you've traveled, you've walked that walk.
I always
and
feel
now
that.
you can come in and help people see what you didn't see until
100%.
you saw it. And it was
move through it.
not too late. Everything's in divine timing, but now you can help guide
people. And I've
people.
always felt that. Haven't you always felt that?
Same.
Like you've gone through this huge thing, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, then all of a sudden that comes into your teaching and the sharing, and you're like, and all these people come in going, they're going through the same thing. You're like,
Yep.
oh,
You went
okay.
first.
Yeah. It's like walking first, and that's why probably that aloneness part. It's like I don't fear that anymore because now I know why.
You're walking first, and that's a beautiful perspective to put out to anyone that walks first, right? Walking first is powerful.
And don't hold
Walking
yourself
first is wisdom. Okay, walking first is what some of us souls have really chosen to do, so therefore we can serve on a higher perspective because we've walked the walk first. You know, we've walked it alone most of the time as well, so we can figure it out ourselves, you know, and that's beautiful. You know, that's
Pretty
beautiful
cool.
that our souls chose that, the walk first, you know, and you know, sometimes I think, why did I choose this? But now that we're having this moment right here, right now, I'm really proud of myself. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of our souls for choosing to walk fast and walk alone. And
I think when you can look at it from like zooming out like that, and you can go, holy shit, that's pretty powerful.
It's beautiful.
And, you know, and this is going to impact, and the path forward is going to impact, and having elders, we're going to be elders, babes.
Elders, babes. I love that.
That this is going to shine a light on the difference of what elders can be.
That's it. I love that so much. I feel like we're unpacking something right here, right now, because it's feeling good in my body.
Yeah.
So, and this is where you get to have these conversations. Everyone shows up at the right time, right? It's like, oh, that's why I'm doing. That's why those people left. That's why that business didn't manifest. That's why that's happened. Because
I look back on my life and go, oh, well, that was played very well.
Yeah, well played, universe. Well, it always is.
I know. But
you know.
Sometimes you're like,
well, your higher soul knows the way. I mean, that's
I've let go of that part of me now. And that frustrated kind of like having to do everything your own way. Now I have a lot more grace with it.
Me too.
And a lot more surrender. And I think that's a lot more trust and safety in knowing that, yeah, it's uncomfortable now, but it's going to be okay. You've got it. Like,
and that's the thing. When you really understand the matrix and the hologram and what we're living in, our higher soul has a remote control.
Yeah.
You know, they're up there going, no, I can see it from up here. You're going that way. You want to go that way. No, you're going that way.
Those memes now. It's like, it cracks me up with the memes about the higher self, and you're standing there going, oh. And they're
but
like,
it's so
what are you
true.
doing?
It's exactly what it is. And I'll share something that I haven't shared publicly before, and because a lot of people probably think I'm nuts, but if you know, you know, if you're awake in that, you know. So I've actually experienced being plugged back in before.
Yeah, wow.
once. So I actually experienced coming back in and getting plugged back in from up there and then coming back into my physical form. So when you watch The Matrix, we literally live in The Matrix. Yeah. So I encourage people to dive into The Matrix movie and understand, you know, our higher soul is really up there doing the thing and we're down here just in this hologram.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think that's like Luke and I talked about the suffering in one of our last episodes. It's a choice. How we see that.
It's a choice. I mean,
I think it's a moment-to-moment choice.
It is a moment-to-moment choice, but through suffering, I've learned the most wisdom. So I wouldn't avoid suffering.
I know, but I think you put a different perspective on suffering. I'm not saying you're not going to suffer, but how you are in the suffering. Do you go deeper into it and just...
Sometimes I do.
Fall into it?
Sometimes I do, but it takes that moment of the last breath. It's like, you know...
But you still make a choice in the moment when you're falling all the way in.
Well, imagine suffering, right? And then you go deeper into falling into the ocean like you're drowning, right? And you're suffering. And so you can either choose, because you know how to swim, right? I know how to swim. But at that moment of suffering, I'm choosing to just drown, right? And sometimes I get to that last breath and thinking... Oh my God!
But do you think that's suffering? Do you think that's surrendering though?
No. I get to that last breath, and there's that moment, like that sliding door moment, where if I don't start swimming right now, I'm like literally gone. So it's like gain that power back and swim back to the top, flick the hair. I'm not going down this way. It's not my time. Yeah. So yeah, I've spiraled in my suffering many times, but it's got me to that moment. I'm not saying I haven't
spiraled or suffering, but I think when I've got to that place. There's a letting go that I've had to do, because I'm grasping onto something if I'm suffering.
Yeah, I've experienced it all. Yeah. You know, there's no one thing. You know, it's not multiple timelines. You know, multiple experiences. No one thing. I've experienced what you've done. I've experienced 100%. That. And the thing is, you know, with timelines changing right now. I mean, there's several timelines playing simultaneously in our lives. You know, there's lots that I could pack, but that's for a whole nother. That's for a whole nother ball game, or maybe a different podcast. But right now, you might find that timelines are going to change in the blink of an eye. You need to trust that chess piece, that chess game, that remote control, that change of the CD, that flick of the radio station, that when the timeline changes, your higher soul is in charge of that timeline change and you just got to go with it. Yeah. Because this is where we're going into the 5D, right? It's not logical. And you think, yeah, but I was just doing that. Yeah. And I really want, I don't know
why I really wanted to do that.
And it's like you're playing chop suey with timelines right now. It's like, am I dodging bullets? You know, like the Matrix where they have that scene and it's like literally that's what's going on with so many people right now.
And it's hard, like you said. Well, maybe the perimenopause is a beautiful analogy. It's like the chaos of moving constantly on this sort of balancing act that you don't know if you're going to fall, stand, where are you moving? Can I just feel like I'm getting pulled on that one time? But it's like I'm moving all of the time. Like I'm finding balance in every shift that I'm having in my body, in my timeline, in my moment. So it's going to be different.
Well, people are having that in general, let alone perimenopause on top, darling. So
but that's what I mean. But I think it's a great analogy of what it feels like.
Oh, yes.
That's what I'm saying. Like the feeling of it is exactly that.
Yes.
So it's a real, I think, having this in this moment while everyone's going through it, it's like an amplified version of it.
Absolutely. God, we're badasses, aren't we? We're so tough. Oh, God.
So, my love, it was so nice. I feel really proud and honoured that you came today because I know how much it was a journey and an effort, and the vulnerability that you've shared, parts of yourself that are really going to inspire others, but also just for you to show up like this and not have it all perfect and the way Bec has always shown up, and to come here feeling probably internally very different to how you want to show up, and being here and being vulnerable and letting this next version of you evolve.
Thank you, Mel.
So exciting.
It is. And that's the thing. You can't fight the actual truth. You know, you can perceive something, but the actual truth, there's no hiding from the actual truth. Yeah. And so the actual truth is, this is what I am right now.
This is where Bec is right now.
And I'm actually excited, I'm actually excited. So.
And I think it's beautiful because there's such a vulnerable softness that so many people don't know about you, that this is a really beautiful introduction of the depth that is there and the really vulnerable soft side under the powerhouse,
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. That means a lot. That means a lot. Yeah, a lot of people just think I'm this strong powerhouse woman, and only my special people really see my soft side. You know, I have a lot of sister wounds, so I have a lot of
First step into
the
being
soft.
vulnerable. Yeah,
The full
beautiful.
feminine energy, right? So I can definitely go into the darker side and the strong side, but strength is softness as well.
That's been a real lesson for me.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for having me and
My pleasure.
being here with me and just understanding.
Yeah.
You know, you really truly do understand me, Mel. Like out of everyone that I've met in my life, you actually just truly do understand. So you're just a beautiful blessing.
Thank you.
To me especially, and I know to so many more, but for me personally, yeah, sometimes I didn't know whether I was going to do it without you. Since 2019, you've just had my back.
Just these little lifelines that I pull in there now and
Yeah,
then.
you just pop in, you little fairy, da-da-da-da-da, and then off you go again. But I needed that da-da-da-da-da in my inbox. And I'm like, oh, right, okay, I can keep going.
Someone saw me. Okay, I'm all right.
She understands. I'm not alone. May the force be with us. Keep going. So thank you so much.
My honour.
You went first.
I did.
You walked first.
I walked first, and now we're like coming in together.
Perfect
and
example.
Stepping into elders.
Yes, perfect example how you've walked fast. It's just beautiful. So thank you.
I love this conversation.
Me too. I could do it all day.
Yeah, I know.
I actually don't feel drained at all.
Yeah, because we planned this, so it was like in and out, and you're like, I'm feeling great.
So that's alignment in the nervous system as well. You know, not pretending at all. No facade at all. The nervous system's just like, just keep going.
Yeah.
You
Love
know,
that.
so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.